Hi, today we're reviewing Hard Times Create Strong Men. Alright, so this book was wrote by Stefan Arnio, and the main premise of this book is this short poem, and it reads, Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times, and then the cycle repeats. The book is divided in 4 parts. Part 1 is money and work. Part 2 is sex, women, children, and family. Part 3 is religion, God, and the new gods of men, money, and government. Part 4 is politics, a system of organized hate, and the systematic extinction of the West. Part 1 is rather short. It's money and work, and it's mostly about the idea that a man's duty is his work, whatever his work may be, and a man's purpose is his work, providing for the other men of your tribe, the women, and the children. And that's really kind of what the whole book builds upon, is just that a man's duty, a man's purpose is his work. Here's some excerpts from the part 1. A strong man's mind is constantly looking for ways to improve his life and his environment by becoming better at everything incrementally. To become rich, you must become rich in the mind first, before you become rich in the pocket. Man's mind is the only survival tool in the wild that keeps him alive and allows him to prosper. He has no claws, jaws, large muscles, teeth, or any other survival mechanism of the wild beast except for his mind. And he references a lot to Think and Grow Rich, and you can actually find a review of that book on my channel. It is the man who uses what he has in the best way who wins and commands the capital he needs to see his dreams and plans come true. And he says there are 3 types of capital. 1, real capital, cash, credit, and debt. 2, social capital, your network, tribe, band, and social connections. And capital 3, intellectual capital, your inventions, property, and specialized knowledge that makes the base of your wealth. Stefan also says that a strong man is strong in 3 areas. A strong man must have a strong body, a strong spirit, and strong emotions. Stephen also talks about the power of fasting and how it kills your sickness, demons, and incorrect thoughts and beliefs. And he usually talks about going and fasting in the jungle, as a lot of great men in history have done. And he says he's done it as well, and that it also puts a warning that if you want to try fasting, please do it with professional help and supervision, especially if you fast longer than 2 or 3 days. Then the author goes on to talk about how you should stick to simple thoughts and not make things complex. And to only make things complex is because you really don't understand it a lot. He quotes Albert Einstein, if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old and you don't understand it yourself. And he says, to be a man is a simple idea. Don't make it complicated. And he's really stemming back to your purpose as a man is to do your work. And your work is what is required of you. He talks a little bit about transmutation and sexual energy, and during this section he does quote a lot of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Throughout the book also quotes a lot of Jack Donovan's The Way of Men, or The Way of Superior Men, and Fight Club, which are both, well, Fight Club's great, I haven't read The Way of Superior Men, but judging by this book, it seems to be a pretty good book. He talks about organized religion, specifically Jewish and Catholic religions, and he says that organized religion is really just a way of organizing the spiritual realm and will allow you as a man to travel through the spiritual realm in a better way, because the spiritual realm is real and it is one of your greatest tools as a human and as a man. He says a man is not a man without command and mastery over the spiritual realm. Then the author begins to talk a lot about how history will repeat itself every 80 years. And he says that because 40 years is a generation of humans, and each generation we swing the pendulum of history into either good times or hard times created by either weak men or strong men. Now, he talks a little bit about subversion, which is kind of an interesting concept, and it talks about basically winning over a nation or defeating them in war without actually having any bloodshed. And it starts with demoralization, includes influencing, infiltration, propaganda, etc. of various areas of where the public opinion is shaped. Step 2 is destabilization. Destabilize all the accepted institutions and organizations of your enemy. Step 3 is crisis. The process starts when the legitimate bodies of power cannot function anymore. Instead, artificial bodies are injected into society. They are often half-baked intellectuals from Harvard or somewhere. They think they know the answers to social problems. And then the fourth step is normalization. This stage is to make the subversion results seem normal to the people. Your country is normalized. And then eventually they look to your enemy nation, the other nation, as a savior or just a better place to be, more willing to be there. Like country A applies subversion to country B. Eventually the people of country B will think that country A is a better place to live and they might migrate there. Or country B will become so destabilized and weak that they are ripe for civil war or invasion. He says subversion is almost impossible to fix, and then he talks about examples of how the American people wiped out the Native Americans and how the Canadian people subverted the Native Americans. Things that get used get stronger. Things that do not get used get weaker. Use your body, use your mind, use your spirit, and use your emotions. So he talks a lot about this 80-year kind of repeating of events, and he says that we're on the brink of hard times, and strong men will need to become of this, or we very well might face some kind of extinction or similar catastrophe. And the book does get kind of dark in some points, saying that, well, we are kind of ripe for invasion or civil war. We are ripe for a hard time. And he goes a lot back to tribal times of just, you know, small tribes of men and women going around and hunting and going to war with each other. And it can kind of make you feel like the world is a dark place. But you have to realize that there is light in the dark, and there are good times, and that you can choose to create a hard time or a strong time by first deciding if you are going to be a strong man or a weak man. And then he doesn't really talk about how to be a strong man. He just kind of outlines what a strong man looks like. And at the end of the book, he does offer, you know, some advice. He gives his personal contact info. He says, contact him at any time. He'll do his best to help you. He says a man's greater purpose is to serve, and to serve is to be asked of whatever your tribe needs. So whatever your tribe needs at a time, your purpose is to serve your tribe. And that's usually what leaders do. Leaders serve their tribe. So he talks about how in America we've got a lot of issues going on. However, the media and the people are talking about the wrong issues, such as guns or no guns, legalized pot or not, legalized prostitution or not, when really we should be talking about other things, such as the losses. The loss of fathers, the loss of family, the loss of effective religions, the loss of strong men, real jobs, borders, protection, respect of the world stage, strength in our military, the loss of what it means to be American, and the loss of what it means to be a man. And we should be talking about those things in order to strengthen our nation and men, in order to be on top of the world again, in order to be one of the greatest civilizations there are, which we are currently losing. Perhaps some of the greatest advice in the book is towards the end when he says, be the man who lives his purpose, does his work, and is always striving for his potential. The book also quotes Meditations by Marcus Aurelius a lot, which I have not read. I do plan on reading. I own, and I will have a review on someday. But this book really does talk about how hard times will create strong men, and strong men will create good times. America has been built, most great empires and nations have been built on the backs of war and slavery of another nation. America and Canada specifically, it would be the Native Americans. And Rome came to a fall when the barbarians and the Germanic barbarians invaded. World War II happened. America became a superpower on the top of the world after that. It just talks about how, you know, it gives various examples of hard times that strong men emerge from, and how history repeats itself. It says several times that history is the same story happening over and over again with just different costumes and different names. What's next for you? What you must do now is focus on being the best man you can be. Do your work, whatever kind of work that is required of you, to earn the trust and respect of your tribe and your women. You must then pursue your potential as it pertains to your mental, physical, environmental, and spiritual realm. Go forth and be the best man you can be, always seeking your maximum potential. Overall, I give this book a 6 out of 7. That is the middle of the upper scale, and here's why. The book was good to read. It was very easy to digest. It's all broken up into little paragraphs like this. It was easy to highlight. It was easy to follow along. It was easy to hear what the author was saying. It was a good book. I enjoyed reading it. There were nice quotes along the way by various people, and there are some drawings in here that are actually really nice. I'm not going to show any of those, but I give it a 6 only because it tends to be a little redundant sometimes. And I don't mean it, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Usually redundancy helps with learning, with understanding. However, there are times where it's very redundant. Specifically, the story about his father. There will be times when he talks about his father on one page, and the immediate page after that, he'll repeat himself. Which is fine, it's not a major thing. I also give it a 6 out of 7, just because, well, I feel like in some parts the book was maybe a little closed-minded, and I'm not really strong on that belief. That's still why I give it a 6. It's really the combination of redundancy and that feeling of closed-mindedness that lose 1 point. A 6 out of 7 is still very high rating. I still really like this book. I'd still suggest it to most men that I know. In fact, I already have. Halfway through the book, I started telling my buddies to read this book. It does kind of get dark. It kind of makes you feel like you live in a dark world at some points, but it should. It says that. It says that this book will easily offend you. So yeah, 6 out of 7, pretty good. I do suggest you pick it up. You can find the link in the description. It's not an affiliate link. Hard Times Create Strong Men by Stefan Arnio. I believe I'm saying that right. It's 540 pages. So yeah, go ahead, pick up a copy, enjoy it, be a strong man, fulfill your potential, and be the best you can be. Thanks.